So I wonder, Sofia, like, just you've had some experience again. You walked through that. I wonder, what can you tell us about some of what your big takeaways have been just here in the last couple of days?
Absolutely. Besides, I need to work on my resistance to
No, I noticed that.
a little bit.
those yesterday.
I was going to leave that off the table, but
I've been beating on her.
Yes, totally, exactly. Totally joking. My skin, I think, is just really sensitive, so we'll do that. But I'm not sensitive, just my skin. Anyway, just kidding. Biggest takeaways. I had a year to take what I learned at CAS last year and apply to my jiu-jitsu training, and I did not do that. I would say maybe a total of 10 times I incorporated a blue gun into my jiu-jitsu training, like the fanny pack thing I mentioned earlier. I have a buddy who doesn't conceal at all, and I've just asked her to go for my gun when we're grappling. I've put the gi on. We've done it no gi, during gi, just to see how things change. So it's been a great reminder of the importance of incorporating that day to day. I've been slowly getting back into that very niche jiu-jitsu mentality to the point where when we started doing wrestling today, and I kind of felt mind blown all over again. It's kind of like relearning something, right? It's easier to learn it the second, third, and fourth time.
Yeah, right, reps.
Exactly. But my goal for 2025 CAS is to come back with a little bit more frame of reference and have maybe more specific goals on what I'd like to work. The class material this year, it was so hard to pick a class. I almost had Siri toss a coin because I needed to work on everything. That's one of the biggest ones. That's really all that comes to mind right now.
I love that because I see you going through the processing right now, right? But I also see you thinking about next year already.
Absolutely.
Which I think is super important because I think a lot of people, and so if I could,
absolutely,
I think a lot of people show up to these things going, well, I'm going to see what's going to happen, and I'm going to walk away with all these new skills, and I'm going to be, John Wick, or whatever when they go to a conference or one of your firearms classes or whatever it happens to be. And that is just not the case. And that is made very clear, when you get here in two ways. One, you're told that. Yes. Right? And secondly, you figure that out pretty damn quick. It doesn't take very long to go, I got some work to do, which is the beauty in all of this. And that there is never a finish line to this. There's this constant thing. And so what I heard you say is you're a very good student, right? And that's what I'm catching from a lot of the people here is they're extremely good students. There's note-taking happening. There's questions being asked, and they're skillful questions. They're not, like how do I stab somebody better in the neck, kind of thing. It's a deeper thinking and a deeper, I think, more intellectual process to being able to come to one of these things and actually walk away with the value that it's here to that the event is here to provide, and that is probably why you two are here, right? Is that you are students of the game and you're constantly looking at it and exploring. I heard you say, you've tried it in a gi, you tried it, with no gi, you tried it in plain clothes, whatever the case is. You have to be willing to do that. You have to commit yourself to doing that. And I know you're saying it jokingly, and I'm just thinking about it. Maybe other folks listening to this, male or female, like, yeah, she keeps saying she's getting beat up in here, and that's just. That's contextually, it's kind of humorous. There's some levity to it.
Absolutely.
And because I was watching actually a session yesterday where you were rolling with Hank. Remember when you were rolling?
Hank, yes, very tall guy.
Very tall guy.
This is the Hank tattoo, essentially.
So I think this is an important piece of this too, is that you're willing to put yourself in that environment to be challenged by somebody who's clearly much bigger,
yes,
much stronger. You don't have to feel that, like you can see it kind of right away.
Absolutely.
That may be way more confident in his jiu-jitsu because he's way further in his journey.
8 years down the road, right? Absolutely.
All of those things. You're willing to put yourself out there. And there's another piece to that, and that he has to be willing to show you a good look.
Yes.
Right. And so there was a point where I think I was talking with Craig actually on the side. And
yes.
Yeah, and there was a throw happened.
Yes.
And it went right up to the edge of the mat, and everybody turned around. And I think all the dudes standing here are like, what the hell happened? Hank, what are you doing, man?
Right.
And then everybody kind of stepped back because you were fine.
Right.
And you should be fine, and
Right.
you are fine,
Right.
and all that stuff. And so everybody stepped back. And I think the initial reaction was, dude, what are you doing to that girl? You know?
It was.
Like, come on, Hank, don't be a dick.
Yes,
You know? Come on, like,
exactly.
what is going on?
I could see a panic in his eyes, like, oh no, everybody's about to beat me up.
Yeah.
And I could tell he was like, are you okay?
Right.
Yes, and you spoke on this earlier, cooperative versus competitive training. That's something that I completely forgot to talk to her about before coming here. I don't want to cut you off, though. We can
No,
get
go
into
right
that.
ahead. Keep going.
So for those of you that do not know, I think the misconceptions, like you mentioned earlier, one of them is that when you go into jiu-jitsu, it's just an outright brawl the entire time, and you get those white belts that give 100% every time, and they're so spazzy, and those are the people that break your nose, and I know that from experience. Okay, so I can say that when you're learning, starting at 30%, maybe building up to 50 and 70, being a good partner, giving resistance when it's due, and then working up to the competitiveness. In fact, Hank and I were talking. I was like, hey man, what percentage are we going at? And he was like, I don't know, 50, 70. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I was like, 75. And he was like, yeah, cool, 75. And that's when Craig was like, Sofia, he was like, I love how he said, he was like, I hate to ask you this, but do you need to put your helmet on?
Right.
And I was like, yes, I guess I could go get my helmet out of the car.
Right.
Yes. And then once we did that, it was, I love that. I just come alive when I'm able to just throw my face into people. I miss being able to do that.
Right.
I miss being able to do that. I loved head control, and my Muay Thai instructor back in the day, he incorporated a lot of wrestling into our training, and he taught me the importance of head control. And I remember being so afraid to hit my nose before I was even worried about that. It was already broken. It was kind of like, whatever, at this point, like move it over, shift it back if you can, punch me this way, right? And I remember I got punched in the face so many times in one training session one day that I remember driving home, couldn't see out of my left eye. I didn't want to tell my mom, though, because I didn't want her to force me out of martial arts. It was really blurry. It looked like the sun was in my left eye only. Anyway, I'm driving home, and I remember thinking okay, that's the worst that can happen. Getting punched in the face is nothing. So literally I started almost leaning into, I would be like, come and get me. Got to the point where it just didn't scare me anymore. Now it's very scary for a different reason, which I hate.
Sure.
But all that to say, we have that spectrum of cooperativeness to competitiveness to provide a training environment where you can actually learn, absorb, and then replicate. For those of you that are on edge about starting.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing to
Please.
that, and that is the way you handled that situation, and you kind of jokingly were like, "No, I'm fine," and then Craig came over to. It wasn't like you need to slow down. It's like,
right.
Let's take some precautions here, so
Yes.
that because if you're going to go like that, let's. I know your situation, so let me just remind you, you
Yes.
might want to do this thing. But more was how you handled the thing, which is standing up, and you look. We made eye contact for a quick second while you were making eye contact with all the other, again, dudes. I've used that in air quotes, standing by to go, I'm fine. Relax, everything's cool.
Right.
And that took the tension level down from everybody else, from everybody wanting to jump on Hank. And
it was a hard fall. I understand. The sound is always sometimes worse than what really happened.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like the perception of what's actually happening versus the reality of what's actually happening.
Yes.
You have to commit yourself to that. So does the other person that you're training with, and that doesn't always. You were mentioning the white belt, right? And how important that is in terms of the learning environment and the skills building environment, and how that needs to be controlled at some level. And the consensual piece there is having an agreement, right? And that here is it can be done, but in the reality of things, in the world of, let's just say, de-escalation. Something's happening, you're on the street, I don't know, somebody wants your wallet or your phone or whatever else, and you're trying to de-escalate that, right? And that being like, please don't hurt me, whatever else, I don't want to get shot, whatever else, but they have to agree that they have to have there's an agreement, and when somebody doesn't agree, then what happens? And so if you can practice the agreement piece, or the disagreement, at a 75%, as you said, well, it's going to help, right? It's going to help. You're not going to go at 100%. That's not what we're here to do. And you don't need to go at 100% in order to practice the thing. It helps you get better for the thing when it goes at 110%, right? At the same time.